organizing it. I want to thank Roger Stone of StoneZone.com for coming on with us. Again, the consummate Trump insider, is confidant of 40 years, ran major campaigns, been involved in a lot of big, did the whole Republican recount in Florida, turned against the Republican establishment after that. You know who he is. He's been on a lot lately. Mr. Stone, you made major international headlines. They came out in a bunch of newspapers 24 hours after you were on, and Drudge carried that report where you said they met. They're giving $75 million, $25 million this week. They're sending their campaign head to run his, Rubio's, but if he doesn't win Florida, they're out. They're not going to give money to Cruz, which has now come out. You laid everything out. You said that they're going to try to have a broker convention, that you had your moles, your quislings there, and now Breitbart, I know you write for Breitbart. I wonder if your quisling is their quisling, or there's multiple patriots in there. But they've got to be upset now, because here are the Koch brothers coming out saying, Stone's wrong. We haven't given any money to the Republicans this cycle. Well, you go to the Federal Elections Commission. It's massive. It's hundreds of millions. They were in the news last year saying they were planning to give $1 billion. We showed that article earlier. We'll show it again while you're on screen. What is happening here? I mean, this is just so epic. I don't even have words, Mr. Stone.
Well, it's the last dying gasp of the two-party duopoly, of the folks who've been running this country for the last 30 years and who have run it into the ground. Everything I told you last week, Alex, has come to pass. The Kochs are clever. They say, oh, we're not spending our money in an anti-Trump effort. No, they are. Their associates, Paul Singer and Stanley Hubbard and the Ricketts, all of whom were at their meeting or represented at their meeting. So weasel words, very carefully worded. Our associates are spending the money. We're not spending the money. I also predicted to you that Mitt Romney would be in the fray. After months of dead silence from Mitt Romney, he started attacking Donald Trump on his Twitter feed the night of the last debate. He has now scheduled this announcement today, this speech today, in which he did what his father, George Romney, did to Barry Goldwater. A last desperate attack to make sure that he is unelectable. Look, being called a phony by Mitt Romney is like being called ugly by a frog. Mitt Romney ran up and down the country 3 years ago saying, Ronald Reagan, Ronald Reagan, Ronald Reagan. Alex, Mitt Romney never supported Ronald Reagan.
He was a Democrat.
Not in 1980. He supported Paul Tsongas, the left-wing Democrat senator from Massachusetts. I worked on the Reagan campaign. Massachusetts was a state I worked on. Mitt Romney was nowhere to be found because he wasn't even a Republican. The guy calls Trump a phony. He's had more plastic surgery and more hairdos than Hillary Clinton. There's nothing genuine about this guy. He's not a conservative, not even remotely. Even when he tried to sound like when he said he was severely conservative. What does that mean? No liberty-believing conservative would describe themselves that way. So I think he's the Sonny Liston of American politics. I saw those debates. I think he took a dive. That's what I think. So this is the last gasp of the establishment. I predict to you now he is sticking his toe in the water to see what the reception is like. There is a statement by one of his lackeys today up in Breitbart saying today's assault on Trump was only the first step. So, he should get in the water. He should enter the late primaries. He has until April 29th to file for California, New Jersey, and a spate of others. You know, what was it that Teddy Roosevelt, who was not one of my favorite presidents, said? The credit belongs not to the man who stands on the sideline.
But the man in the arena.
Man, the man who gets in the arena. So, Mitt, if you're so opinionated, if you're so tough, get in the arena with Donald Trump. File for those late primaries.
Has he not become a true Judas Iscariot, to be his friend, to play golf with him, to eat dinner with him, to off and on know him for 20 years, and then to get up there and literally 180 in front of everyone? I mean, I got to say, Mitt Romney is a true Benedict Arnold piece of trash.
Well, Alex, I would suggest that your folks go right now and get the media clips of Romney praising Trump at the press conference in which Trump endorsed Romney, where he calls him an incredible business success, where he admits that he is richer than Romney, where he praises him. Get those clips and you'll see what we're dealing with. A total Judas Iscariot. And now kicking himself, because remember, Mitt wanted to run in 2016. He didn't make the race because he deemed Jeb Bush unstoppable.
And by the way, he's attacking with more vitriol and more vicious words Donald Trump than he did Obama. He was like wearing giant pillow-sized gloves, and Obama was attacking him with a hatchet. And Romney, I think, pretty much just took a dive. I think it's pretty clear now. Democrat operative, probably already has been, and it's 100% clear. He's a Democrat operative, not just a rhino. He probably gets direct orders from Obama, and the payoff, I'm sure, was extravagant. What a traitor to this country, his family, his God, and everything else. But since you mentioned that clip, we have the clip, Roger. We need you to help this go viral. It's a 1-minute clip. You can send it to Trump. We've tweeted it at Donald. It's just 70 seconds that destroys Mitt Romney. The article's on Infowars.com. This video destroys Mitt Romney's claims against Trump. Here it is.
Donald Trump has shown an extraordinary ability to understand how our economy works, to create jobs for the American people. What little he has said is enough to know that he would be very bad for American workers and for American families. He understands that our economy is facing threats from abroad. He's one of the few people who stood up and said, you know what, China has been cheating. They've taken jobs from Americans. They haven't played fair. We have to have a president who will stand up to cheaters. His proposed 35% tariff-like penalties would instigate a trade war, and that would raise prices for consumers, kill our export jobs, and lead entrepreneurs and businesses of all stripes to flee America. I spent my life in the private sector, not quite as successful as this guy, but successful nonetheless. Sufficiently successful to understand what it takes to get America to be the most attractive place in the world for innovators, entrepreneurs, and business and job creators. He inherited his business. He didn't create it. A business genius, he is not.
By the way, that's an oxymoron. If you inherit money and then make even more, it means you're even more successful, because usually people are spoiled and lose it all. You do inherit great genetics, but then you also are in the environment of having things so good. Most rich kids tend to not do so well. He worked for his dad on record. I've seen the documentaries that are 3 hours long on History Channel that you're part of. They talk to everybody. He was working when he was 12 years old. He was out there, and he got $1 million from his dad. And by the time his dad died, he had his own separate business. Trump had made billions and billions, and his dad then gave $200 billion, to different parts of the family. So Trump dwarfed his father. But it's just incredible how they lie. Unlike the Bushes, who never made any money and had all these failed oil companies that were really CIA drug dealing fronts with silver spoons shoved in their addled mouths.
Well, the irony of this, of course, is that Mitt Romney inherited a fortune from his father, George Romney, who made his money at American Motors in Detroit. So what is Mitt talking about in terms of privilege, in terms of entitlement? Look, this is not about Republican, Democrat. This is about the globalists versus the one and only nationalist running for president in this country this year, this cycle. Donald Trump believes in American sovereignty. Donald Trump believes in American strength. He is scaring the daylights out of the
Roger,
lobby.
Our listeners know this. They're sold on Trump. I'd say 90% now. Even people that were against him here in the office. I mean, they see it. It's clear. What are the new attacks? What's the next big shoe to drop? How big is it? You talked about this. They talked about a broker convention, you said, inside the Koch brother meeting, running the whole show. Now their campaign guys running Rubio's campaign. How big is it that Breitbart has this audio? It's on Infowars.com. I can play the whole thing here. Where they admit that they're going to steal the election at the broker deal. Now we see shaving, it appears. I want you to confirm that. You said earlier you agree. At Texas and other levels, I believe Trump really won Texas.
Yeah, first of all, I think I've been working with something called the Trump Ballot Security Project, where we have tried to respond immediately to complaints of voter irregularities and frauds. We have over 600 individual complaints now spread into 6 counties in Texas, where people tell us they voted for Donald Trump only to see their vote tallied overwhelmingly for Marco Rubio.
Don't we need a lawsuit then to draw attention to this immediately?
Yeah, I think it's vital. I urge those who agree with us to go to stopthesteal.org to help us in this effort. We have to send teams now to Ohio, where we're beginning to get reports about irregularities in the absentee balloting process, which I think is a precursor to more stealing on the actual election day.
Of course.
I can tell you the Ohio Republican machine is more adept at this than any Republican.
And that's why Kasich says he will stand or fall on Ohio, because he knows the fix is in.
Yeah, no. So my question, as far as Texas is concerned, is this Karl Rove at work? I don't think we got an honest count. I think we got a distorted count. We're looking into smaller but significant reports of irregularities in Oklahoma, the only other state that
Trump obviously, and I talked to people that were down there as election judges. It was almost all Trump, but then magically he didn't win. And then everybody's saying the votes flipped from Trump. By the way, I'm not gushing over Roger Stone for no reason. I was trying to mention all the things he wrote Friday here in studio, but also out on the street with our interview that ended up coming true and being proven to be accurate. He said, get ready for Mitt Romney to come in. They're getting him thawed out and prepared. He'll start coming out and attacking Trump now, and then that's just him preparing for folks to beg him to, quote, run, so it doesn't look like he's coming into the convention, in a broker convention, and just stealing it. And sure enough, boom, he's now out there doing that. I mean, I had friends call up that their wife, had the vote flip. And I know the guy's wife, she's a computer manager, expert. There were dozens of calls per news show on 590, where I've worked for years, off and on for 20-something years, the news station here in town that we're part of. And we went and interviewed those folks, and they had it flooding the newsroom as well. And Jakari went out and talked to folks on the street, and they were talking about it. And election judges were saying, yeah, we're hearing it, it's happening. I mean, judges off camera going, no, this is going on. This is happening. And it's Trump that it's flipping from. It's not, sometimes it's Trump, sometimes it's Rubio, sometimes it's Cruz, sometimes it's Carson, sometimes it's Kasich. That's a big deal. Clearly, explain to people, if Trump's got 320, and they've got, where's the 370-something now, because it's changed as more votes came in, then, again, they're more than 50%. At the convention, that means they can bypass him and give it to whoever they want. And are they that arrogant, Roger?
Yeah, look, I think they will stop at nothing. This is rule or ruin. They don't mind if the Republican nomination is worthless at the end of the day.
They said that. They want Hillary. They love her.
They would certainly prefer her to Donald Trump. So this is very clear what they have planned. By keeping this a multi-candidate race, by keeping as many candidates in the race as possible, with Ted Cruz probably stealing or the net result winning Texas because of a steal, and presumably John Kasich winning Ohio and 100 votes there, it is certainly possible for Trump to run the tables in these primaries, meaning win every primary and caucus, but with a plurality, not a majority. Get to Cleveland with the largest block of delegates, close to the magic number, but not quite there. And the establishment stalls him, understanding that on the second ballot, hundreds of delegates that are legally bound to Trump are now free to do whatever they want. This is how the big steal works.
And I've seen it with Ron Paul, where the whole room in Texas goes, Ron Paul, and they go, no, not Ron Paul, Mitt Romney. And then the master delegate just steals it in front of everybody anyway.
Well, and they control the rules committee. Now, currently the rules say, in order to even have your name put in nomination, you have to have the majority of the delegates in 8 states. It used to be 6 states. But when Ron Paul, who I admire enormously, achieved the 6 states, they changed it to 8. And if he had gotten 8, they would have changed it to 10.
I know Ron Paul's a purist, and I admire him, and I love him, and he's a great man. But he's been screwed over just like Trump is. He sees the populism. Maybe if Trump said, hey, I'd make you Treasury Secretary so that Paul could know he'd have some say, we need Ron Paul to endorse him. Come on, Dr. Paul.
Well, such an agreement, of course, would be illegal. You can't.
No, I mean, I don't mean literally. I'm just saying if Trump made noises like, hey, I'd listen to Ron Paul.
What Trump would have to say is, I want men and women like Ron Paul in my administration. He's already said, as I predicted on the show, he wants to audit the Fed, which is enormous because no other Republican candidate other than Rand Paul takes that position. I agree. The support of Ron Paul will be very valuable now. But the same
Roger Stone, stay there. We got a break. Back in 70 seconds. And then, this is just broken at Infowars.com. Mitt Romney's changed his official Facebook page, saying he's running for president. Wow. So is this a test, or what is this? And federal judge says the FBI is preparing to indict Hillary. I'm in road hard and put away wet. I mean, Steve Watson, judge, FBI is ready to indict Hillary over emails. This is enough to shake the American political system to its foundation. That story's up on Infowars.com. We've got Mitt Romney, and this is even bigger. He had it changed on his page. It was a new update, and then they just took it down, just like when they're testing election results beforehand. And so they're definitely were testing the Facebook to approve it and accidentally published it that he's going to run for president. Stone, you said it first, and then you got the floor for the last 5 minutes. I'm sorry I'm ranting. How do they try to steal it? What's going to happen with Mitt Romney? How does Hillary possibly getting indicted play into all this?
Boy, Alex, you're on fire today. No question about it. Look, I think we're breaking a lot of news here. As I predicted right here on Infowars.com last week, Mitt Romney is he's the anointed horse. It's very clear Marco Rubio cannot make it. He has not been able to come in first in any state. He's heading for a crushing defeat in his home state primary on March 15th, unless they steal it. This is why the Trump ballot security project that I'm working on is so important, because the establishment will stop at nothing. We've seen Karl Rove rig election results before, as he did in Ohio for George W. Bush. Don't put anything beyond the Republican machine and the globalists. They must stop Trump. I think Romney will run. I think this was the warm-up. And I think that, the guy is the last dying gasp of the establishment. They have no one left because Trump decimated Jeb. He's decimated Marco. He would decimate Kasich, but Kasich can't get any traction. He's running fifth in the Michigan primary, where he said he's going to make his last stand. So Romney is now the designated hitter for the bipartisan two-party duopoly, and they're going to make their last stand there. But remember, they don't mind if they blow up the Republican Party. They don't mind if they blow up the party's chances to win.
They're claiming Trump is doing that. They're claiming Trump is doing that, but they're the suicide bombers.
No question about it. In fact, Trump has moved to a more unifying message. If you go back to the last debate, he clearly said he respected the other candidates on the stage. He was acting in a conciliatory manner until he was viciously attacked by little Marco. So, look, one thing I know about Donald Trump, if you punch him, be prepared to get punched back at twice the velocity. The guy's a fighter. He would wipe Romney up in the late primary. So, Mitt, get in. Come on, the water's fine. Jump in California.
When is Dumbo going to fly away?
Say again?
When is Marco Dumbo going to fly away?
I suspect that if he loses the March 15th primary in his home state here in Florida, he is done. I fully expect Governor Rick Scott to endorse Trump. Scott is a man of courage who comes from outside the political order. He's not a career politician. He and Trump have an excellent relationship. I have no inside information. I just think it is likely. That would be a major boost here in the Sunshine State. But right now, let's recognize Rubio is the senator representing the state. Trump is running ahead of him in the public polls by almost 25 points.
Final questions, and obviously I appreciate you popping in on an almost daily basis because so much is moving so fast. What about this Koch brother plan they're talking about to run a third party to scuttle the Republicans, a right-wing party to steal votes? That's incredibly transparent. And then what about Trump's talk if they violate their contract, him running third party? Is it the answer, stay in the Republican race, fight it all the way?
Yeah, I believe that it is. I think that's, first of all, having done this, since I played some role in getting my friend Governor Gary Johnson on the ballot in 48 states, the Kochs may not understand how difficult it is to get on the ballot, particularly as an independent, not a third party.
They'd have to try to buy the Libertarian Party.
You know what? They'd have to have a real Libertarian. Who would that be? Who's going to play the Stooges game for them?
You know what? I know you got to go. We have another guest. We'll do 2 more minutes because I'm going to tell you, Ventura's getting ready to get in as the Libertarian nominee. I want to ask you, I think that's going to affect things. Coming up in about 10 minutes, and for the balance of this hour, we're going to be joined by my good friend Mark Dice and the author of The Illuminati in Hollywood. Why are they so into this? Why isn't it in all the big events? How does the time of the election? We'll be talking to Mark Dice, of course, has the viral videos that we carry and Drudge carries, where he goes out and has liberals say they want to put gun owners in FEMA camps and kill Donald Trump and all the rest of it. And this is really who he's talking to. This is the majority of it. These are very, very sick, demented people. That's coming up in a moment. Donald Trump's getting ready to have a quick speech and a response to Mitt Romney. So we've got that feed as well from his YouTube. And I just love how they can bypass the whole mainstream media. Because the mainstream media was a gatekeeper. And speaking of breaking the gatekeeping, 2 best-selling books, The Bush Crime Family and Hillary's War on Women, both available by Roger Stone at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com. I know you got to go. Roger, I appreciate your time, but I'm really concerned. I like the fact that Ventura said, he's on tomorrow, Jesse Ventura said, I'm not going to run third party or get in if it's Donald Trump or Sanders, because they're anti-establishment in his views, and he's been friends with Trump, so he's classy. But he said, if it is Rubio or Hillary, I'm getting in. And the libertarians have been talking to him, I know that. So they're telling him, hey, if you come, you'll probably get it. You're very popular. I know McAfee's going for it, but I think with his bona fides that it'd be Ventura. So that's also a prospect there that could cause a problem. But again, overall, what other dirty tricks do the Koch brothers have?
Well, first of all, let me speak to that. I spoke to Governor Ventura day before yesterday. In fact, he said to me the same thing he said to you, which is he likes Bernie Sanders because he's outside the machine. He really likes Donald Trump. He's outraged by the voter theft that's going on. And he would run if the country is faced with two globalists, call it Rubio and Hillary. I'll go a step further, Alex. He asked me if I would manage his campaign. If Donald Trump is cheated out of the nomination and he's not on the ballot, I would be open to helping Jesse Ventura. He's a good friend of many years.
Wow, so talk about moving in the same circles. Very, very interesting. Yeah, that's what he told me. So he's on tomorrow, and I think that's classy. He likes Donald Trump, likes Tim Morgan's it's free market. They play golf, they're friends for 20-something years. But I was checking into Trump 6-8 months ago before I even started, giving him some support and saying he might be good. I talked to not just Ventura, but 4 or 5 other people that I know have known him for decades. And they said, no, what you see is really him. And that's why he makes brash jokes and says, the difference between me and a dead possum or a wet raccoon is I got $7 billion. And some people that rubs them the wrong way, but even evangelicals have been going for him because they're sick of these fakes, that say they're so Christian but then backstab people. What is your gut, though? How is it going for the panicking establishment in closing? Because they've gone from trying to act slick to just, you're not getting it, it's over. We will kill the Republican Party. We will give it to Hillary. They're on Fox and CNN and MSNBC saying they will slit the party's throat in front of everyone. Well, that just shows us they're a foreign occupying army with the Democrats. I mean, these people, I think, have really shown us their dirty skirts.
Yeah, here's what they don't understand. This is not your father's Republican Party. Donald Trump has the capacity to bring millions of new people into this election. He's already doing it. People who've never voted before. People who've stopped voting because they figured out that politics is fixed against the common person. So they do that at their own peril. Trump is a much, much stronger candidate against Hillary Clinton than any other Republican candidate because he will take the fight right to her.
And the numbers show that. That's not rhetoric. It's why they're scared to death. The Republican lie that he can't beat Hillary is a fraud. And now, Roger, I'm going to let you go because your man, my man, our man, Donald Trump has just taken the stage. Let's go to that live feed via his YouTube.
I should do well there. Let's hope I do well there. I love Florida. But I was going to Detroit, and I said to my people, I have to stop in Maine. I just had to stop in Maine. So I wouldn't say that it's a very direct route, would you say? Instead of going this way, I went this way, and that is good. I'm so glad. And, to put this incredible sold-out crowd, and you have thousands of people outside, to put this crowd together in a period of, 24 hours is pretty amazing. And Maine is amazing. Maine is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And people don't realize how large your land mass is. I was talking to Paul. As large as all of New England, when you think of it. That's some piece of land. Can I buy some, please? Can I buy some? Can I buy some? So, I've been watching with great interest as we get to, go down the line. We've had some amazing results. And right nearby with New Hampshire, it was an amazing, incredible thing. And by the way, every single time I went to New Hampshire, whenever I met with people, they'd always say, number one problem, heroin. Number one problem. And I'd say, how's that possible? You look at these beautiful fields and the beautiful little roads and everything's so beautiful. And it was the number one problem. And it comes from our southern border. And we're going to close up that border. And we're going to build a wall. And we're going to stop the drugs from coming in. Believe me. We're going to stop. And people are going to come into our country, but they're going to come in legally. They're going to come in legally. But we're going to solve the problem. But, I watched these pundits. And when I first started, my wife Melania and I, we came down the escalator, right? And I first started, And it was an amazing thing. I said, you know, we have to do something because we have people that don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing in running our country. And I got some of that today, you know, just in hearing some of these things. But they don't know what they're doing. We have to do it. And it takes guts to run for president. I'm not a politician. I'm not a politician. All talk, no action, nothing gets done. And anyway, we're coming down, and I said to myself, you know, there's so many things. And then I watched the pundits, and they said, oh, Trump, I don't know, we have some great talent running. And I'm trying to figure out where, what's the talent? What's the talent? But, you know, you come down and you do it, and you start talking about trade, and you see what happens with trade. Trade has been such a disaster. But the pundits all said, you know, I came out at 3%, first one. And my wife said, you know, if you run, you're going to win. But you actually have to run. You can't say you're going to run because they won't poll it. But even if they do poll it, people still say you're not going to run. She said, but if you run, you're going to win. I said, oh, she's my pollster. She's my pollster. I paid her less money, but she's better than the pollster. So you know what happened? I started at 3 the first day or something. I was at 3, which I wasn't exactly thrilled about. Then it went up to 6, it went up to 12, it went up to 18, and then it kept going up. And every time I went up, the pundits would say, he's plateaued, you know, plateaued. Well, he's always going to get 6. That's a 6 solid group. Then I went up to 12. Well, you know, that's a solid group. Then I went up to 24. And he said, and don't forget, that's with 17 people. We had 17 people. That's a lot. 24 with 17 people is pretty good. So we went up to 24. And they said, well, that's the max. There can't be any more. Then we went up to 28, 32. So CNN just came out with a poll. Trump, 49. National. That's high. That's high. And, you know, I'm very proud of it because this is not a plateau. This is a movement. We have a movement going on, folks. Time magazine did a story recently, a couple of weeks ago, talking about what's going on, and they've never seen anything like it. People have never seen anything. They say, actually, and I don't think I'm exaggerating this at all, and I don't want to exaggerate, but many of the great writers, of which there are very few, because the media is among the most dishonest people I've ever
No, it's true. It's pure Americana. Nothing like this has ever happened.
They said that in the history of this country, there's never been anything like this, what's happening. We were in Huntsville, Alabama the other day. We had 35,000 people. 35,000 people. We went to Arkansas, which you saw we won. Oh, is that another one? Oh, yeah. All right, get them out. Get them out. Get them out. They just don't stop. All right, get them out. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Terrible. Incredible. Now, you know, you can be nice. But if you're nice, they'll say, oh, you were so soft. Then you can be vicious. Get out of here, right? And then they'll say you were too harsh. So I've developed a nice, all right, please get them out. It's
they
incredible.
want to take our free speech, folks. These are totalitarians.
I love you, too. And by the way, you know, I'm self-funding my campaign. I'm putting up all my money. I'm not, but you have to do all I want. I don't want your money. I just want one thing. You vote on Saturday. Get out and vote. Don't forget, I did that big, long turn. Slightly long. It did a big
What's
turn.
revolutionary is he's not spending any money and he's not going to the political class. I wouldn't say in the country's history it's the only time, but in the modern television era, this has never happened. This is the death knell to the establishment.
Our theme is make America great again.
Quite frankly, if they steal it from him, it may even make the rebellion bigger.
I've met so many people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. We have like this. Now, we're only confined by the size of the room. This is packed, but this is the size of the room.
All right.
Thousands and thousands.
I'm going to go back to Roger Stone real quick because he's going to leave us. He wanted to stay and hear some of the speech. I'm going to go to break and come back with Mark Dyson. We'll have excerpts of the speech as well, especially if he goes after Romney. But I tell you, he's looking good. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks younger. He looks sharper. And I'm not just kissing Trump's rear end here. He looks like 10 years younger and like he's lost 30, 40 pounds. And it seems like he's thriving off the stress. This guy I really respect him now. Because I'm not just watching a guy on TV. This is a real alpha male, Roger. 60 seconds.
He's drawing strength from the crowds, Alex. He's having the time of his life. This is a fight that he's enjoying. Contrast that with Jeb Bush, drudgery. going through the motions. Just give me one.
We want a president sleeps 3 hours. We want an alpha male.
Yeah, look, he's a brawler. And it's going to take a brawler to take on Hillary Clinton and to turn this country around. He's a fighter. And he will never buckle to the establishment. He'll never buckle to the insiders. This is the most exciting thing I've seen in my 40 years in politics. And it's a natural grassroots phenomena. The campaign is not that big. Trump is a penny pincher. He's running a cost-efficient campaign, getting huge votes.
Driver cranking.
It's breathtaking.
That's another reason they hate him. All those billions that they get from a regular candidate aren't going to all those filthy politicos. I tell you, Roger Stone, thank you so much. Thank you for helping drive this insurgency. This is 1776 Part 2, folks. This is history happening. Stay with us.